into the Himalayas and off to mythical, mystical Tibet. Eons ago, the Indian subcontinent collided with Asia. The resulting crumple zone formed the Himalayas and Tibet. The roof of the world, the average elevation, is 13,000 feet. And we felt every foot of it. Our trip was marred by altitude sickness, shortness of breath, tachycardia, headaches, nausea, and dizziness for 3 long days.
As soon as we landed in Tibet, I felt a lump in my throat, and I thought it was due to the excitement of the trip, but it was the beginning of altitude sickness. But I was captivated by the surreal landscape of this wonderful land, the placid lakes and the serene skies.
Our guide, Hannah, met us at the airport. She was a pretty hip chick for a Tibetan. The first thing you see as you leave the airport is this huge sign that says, "I love China." Not necessarily true. Mao's armies invaded Tibet in 1949, and the country was forcibly annexed in 1959. The Dalai Lama fled, and the Chinese spent many years suppressing the native Tibetan culture. When you arrive in Hawaii, they put a lei around your neck. In Tibet, you get a prayer shawl. If they'd given me a yarmulke, I would have felt right at home. These are not decorations, they're religious icons. The Tibetans believe that by writing prayers on flags and banners, that the winds will scatter them throughout the land. The different colors symbolize the 5 elements of Tibetan tradition: air, earth, fire, water, and space. Prayer flags are everywhere, and the whole country looks like a fabric remnant store. This man is tilling his rocky, barren field with his yak. The whole country is incredibly poor. On the road to Lhasa, we pass Buddhas carved into the walls of the cliffs. This is the Nitang Buddha. He's over 30 feet tall and reportedly dates from the 700s. These giant Buddhist monuments, called stupas, guard the entrance of the gates of the ancient city of Lhasa. As we enter Lhasa, the magnificent Potala Palace sits high atop a hill. Built in the late 1600s, the Potala was the palace and residence of the Dalai Lamas, the political and spiritual leaders of Tibet. Here are a few perspectives of the awesome Potala Palace. Directly across the street, and in stark contradiction to the Potala's majesty, stands this austere Chinese monument to the peaceful liberation of Tibet. We thought it was ironic that the Chinese appear to be giving the Tibetans the finger. Here are some typical Tibetan folk. Although the temperature is in the 60s, they are all bundled up from head to toe. Look at the man on the right. In his left hand, he holds a necklace, probably with a protective amulet. In his right hand, he has a very nice prayer wheel. The prayers are inside the wheel. Each time you spin the wheel, it counts as saying the prayer. So, the more you spin, the more you pray. We think it's very efficient. Here we are at the base of the Potala, and yes, we are going up there. A few deep breaths as we prepare for our ascent. Let's go! It's not really a bad climb, but the thin mountain air has us huffing and puffing. Fortunately, there are lots of opportunities to stop for photos. We feel about 95 years old, and this little lady just keeps on going. Finally, we arrive at the top, at the entrance to the Potala Palace. Unfortunately, photography is prohibited inside the palace, but I've scanned in some photos from our souvenir book to give you an idea of the stunning interior work. This is the main throne room where the Dalai Lama received official guests. Shrines to Tibetan deities and previous Dalai Lamas are everywhere and overwhelming. So are the smell of burning incense and yak butter candles, which further exacerbated our poor oxygen-deprived bodies. It was not easy. These are not Buddhist monks. They're Buddhist nuns. We had never heard of Buddhist nuns before, but we paid them a visit at the nunnery. Located on a back street in Lhasa, it's quiet, simple, and serene. More multicolored prayer flags adorn the top of the building. Prayer wheels come in all sizes and shapes. You can give these a spin as you walk down the alley to enter the nunnery. Like the monks, they wear red robes, shave their heads, and keep the yak butter candles burning. The nuns were very friendly, happily posing with their freshly baked bread. Even in Tibet, I can pick up hot chicks. This cute little nurse in the infirmary is seriously rethinking her vow of celibacy. We both enjoyed our brief visit to this lovely oasis of tranquility. On the street outside the monastery, we are truly strangers in a strange land. The street is barely wide enough for the bicycle cart and a few pedestrians.
Is the yak butter fresh? Oh my God, look at the price. I could get it cheaper at ShopRite.
Sometimes we thought yak butter was the official currency of Tibet, since it is sold everywhere, even off the back of this truck. Here is greater downtown Lhasa. Check out the snow-covered peaks in the background. It's May 1st, start of the Chinese national holiday, and the streets are mobbed with shoppers and tourists. Another view of the Lhasa shopping district. Trendy stores line the streets. This store sold beautiful boxes and chests, and they do look handmade. Here's the Tibetan dollar store. How much do you want to bet all that stuff is made in China?
One of the delicacies of Tibet is the yak meat, which even comes in a bag, dehydrated, and ready to be the fast food of the trendy Tibetans.
And don't forget an ice-cold Coke or Sprite with your meal. No Pepsi, though. This is the Museum of Tibetan History. Although there are many interesting artifacts here, it serves mostly as a propaganda vehicle for the Chinese version of why Tibet was, is, and always should be part of China. It's a bright new Tibetan morning, and we are in front of the Jokang Temple in the heart of Old City Lhasa. Founded in the year 639, the Jokang is the most sacred site of Tibetan Buddhism. Clouds of pungent smoke hang in the air from the giant incense burners. In the low building behind Judy, hundreds of yak butter candles honor the spirits of the dead. Outside the temple, the streets teem with monks, tourists, and pilgrims. The faithful meditate, pray, and prostrate themselves at the wall of the temple. It's so totally foreign, it's like being in an Indiana Jones movie or a CNN documentary.
Take this confusion running around my head. Take back my unkind words, lay that weight on me instead. I'm the place where everything turns south. Where you gonna run to now? Wrong step, you got off track. We need someone to help us get back now. Once in the awful state I was in, I believe I was losing you. Now I'm found. Well, I am found, yeah, but I'm not real anymore. I am an illusion. I'm not real anymore. I am an illusion. Well, I am the damage. I am the relief. Sometimes I'm people I never hoped that I would be. If I'd taken whatever they turned out, well, then what's that gonna make me now? Don't you understand? Hell, I'm not real anymore. I am an illusion. Hell, I'm not real anymore. I am an illusion.
In the marketplace around the temple, you can buy religious articles, shoes, clothing, food, souvenirs, and yak butter. You bargain with the merchants by pressing out the numbers on their little handheld calculators.
Wrong step, you got off track. We need someone to help us get back now. One thing, awful state I was in, I believe they were fooling me. Now I'm down. Well, I am down. Yeah, but I'm not real anymore. I am an illusion. Yeah, I'm not real anymore. Yeah, I am an illusion. Yeah, I'm not real anymore. I am an illusion. I am an illusion. Help me, I'm not real anymore. Yeah, I am an illusion. I am an illusion.
One of the coolest things about the joke hang is that you can go up on the roof and take pictures. Judy took 2 shots and the computer spliced them together to make this great panoramic view of the temple square. Up on the right, you can see the Patala high atop its hill. Reporting live from Lhasa, your global correspondents, Mark and Judy. Judy poses in front of the spectacular gilded roof of the temple. Here, she stands in front of the Wheel of Dharma. The 8 spokes symbolize the Buddha's 8-fold noble paths to enlightenment. This massive gilded roof ornament has little bells at the top that chime in the wind. Another one of our favorite photos. Up on the roof of the world.